What's up everybody, my name is Elliott and welcome back to the only Midwestern-based automotive YouTube channel hosted by a notary public. Now as a notary public, I have to admit something to you guys. I have pressure issues. And no, I'm not talking about when I use the restroom or peer pressure to notarize documents that I don't want to notarize. No, I'm talking about oil pressure. And believe it or not, those oil pressure issues are not affecting the free BMW 528i behind me. The oil pressure issues that I have are with the Car Trek Maserati that's just out of frame over here. You see, when you start that car up or drive it or anything, the oil pressure gauge is constantly reading 0, which is a huge problem in any car. But it's an even bigger problem in a car with a high-strung, high-mileage Italian V8 that is already prone to both failure and fire, if we're honest. But fear not, because that's going to change today. You see, when Tavares sent me a mystery pallet full of miscellaneous parts for that car, one of the parts was actually a new oil pressure sender, which Tavares and I both believe is the culprit behind the oil pressure gauge reading 0. Now, I've looked on the forums and apparently the oil pressure sender replacement is either a 30-minute job or a 6-hour job. I'm really hoping it's a 30-minute job, but I guess we'll find out here in a second. Now, let me go start the car up so you can see the issue I'm talking about and I can move it into frame and the light over here. And then we'll get to work replacing an oil pressure sender. But I gotta hurry. I think I'm running out of time. I feel really pressured. So I left the car running just so you can see what we're working with here. First of all, the hazards are on because it's externally telling me there's something wrong. But that right there is our primary issue. It's reading 0 and the little red light is on. Now obviously the car has oil pressure because Tavares did all of Car Trek Season 2 with it like this, and I've been driving it around a little bit with it like this, so there's obviously pressure there, but it would be a big reassurance to have that thing read correctly. But in the meantime, listen to that. Oh, this car sounds so good. All right, let's replace that sender. All right, first step in a lot of car repairs is to disconnect the battery, but luckily Maserati has a factory disconnect built in. So turn that off, and as you can see, the clutch is still riding around back here ready to be put in, but that's a job for another day. All right, the car is in position, the hood is open. Let's look at what we're replacing here. Engine bay, intake. Now, of course, the oil pressure sender is in here in the dark valley here that you can't even see. So let me see if I can shed some light on what we're replacing today. It is that little guy. There's a little black plastic connector, and then right behind that is the oil pressure sender. It's the thing with 2 fast-on nuts and some exposed kind of metal contacts there, and that's what we're trying to get to. So apparently people try removing this to get to it, or that can be gotten to with a crow's foot wrench, which is the method we're going to try first. Now that we see what we're working with here, let me go grab the replacement sender and some tools. Good news is we've got this handy dandy workbench right next to the Maserati. That's going to work just fine. All right, now this is the oil pressure sender. It was very difficult to see while we were in there, but this is what we were replacing, and apparently these crow's feet wrench are what is going to allow us to do it without taking off the intake. Fingers crossed this is inching towards the 30-minute job on the 30 minutes to 6 hours range. But let's get our tools together and get to work. Okay, so now we have adequate light in our workspace, and the first step is to remove that little nut that was on top, and as you can kind of see, it was finger loose, and now the precious nut is precariously resting on top of the oil pressure sender. Hopefully I will be able to grab that without it dropping into the depths below, but that is step 1. Next step is just trying to get the tool on there and breaking that thing free. All right, now trying to get our crow's foot. Oh shoot, knocking the camera. Should not have let this run as long as I did. It's hot. It's these wires are just in the way. Oh God, the head is hot. Oh my God. All right, so it's a new day, new shirt. Apparently this is a lot harder to get at than I even initially thought, but that's okay. We're gonna keep trying. And the good news is I've got this more festive shirt on with shorter sleeves, so I should have a much better range of motion. The key issue I've been having is I can get the crow's foot onto the sender, but then there's this big bundle of wires that's totally in the way, and the nut to loosen that bundle of wires is impossibly tight. So I just keep having to wrestle with it. No issue. For you at home, this is all going to be sped up and I will have this thing off in no time, especially with my new free arms, and the engine's not hot today, so that's a good sign. Let me get back to it.
Can't answer what happened. One thing or another let loose.
Well, as you guys saw, it did break loose. At first we thought the wrench slipped off, but my uncle there actually was the one who got it loose, and supposedly it's just hand tight now. So, which, wow, look at that. Easy peasy, huh?
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
And with it out, you can actually see it a lot better here. This is where it was, and you can just see all of this stuff in the way. This little guy right here ended up being the biggest pain, because it's not the hose itself. There's the little collar neck that it goes into is metal and fixed, and it just won't get out of the way, along with this wiring harness that is just in the way. Everything's in the way. And actually, while we're back here, you can still see some fire extinguisher spray left over from the Tavares incident. So that's just something I'm gonna have to live with forever on this car, it looks like. So the secret to success on this, because, well, everything was difficult to get to, was modifying this crow's foot wrench so extensively to get it to actually fit given the confines of the space. So here's what it ended up looking like after we modified it. As you can see, it started out looking like a bigger version of this, and now it has been grinded, narrowed down. Every possible dimension of this has been trimmed a little bit just to get it in that very, very specific space. Now, I'm sure Maserati probably sells a wrench that meets these exact dimensions for probably $500 for the 2 people in the world that are probably doing this to their Maseratis, but modifying it yourself seemed to do the trick. So now all we have to do is screw the new one on, tighten it back up, which hopefully won't be as hard, and hopefully we'll have oil pressure. I guess we'll see here in a second. I mean, it's not exactly steady cam here, but you get the idea. Oh, okay, we're getting tight. All right.
Good job, bud.
Time to set it down and put the tightness back on it. Oh man, look at that. That is turning like a joy. Can't stress enough how tight these quarters are. And everything against this firewall here is sharp. I don't know what the deal is. God, screw this little hose. A little bit of a turn there. Oh, there we go. We're making progress now, folks. Let me say this. Hopefully this is the last time this needs to be done to this car. Okay. That has got to be tight enough. Well, I can't get the wrench back off. This is frustrating. I feel like if I was gonna play this section, it would just be heavy breathing and crouching. All right, now all I have to do is put the world's smallest nut onto the top of that thing and tighten up one more thing, and we should be able to fire this thing up. Please don't drop the nut. It is nothing but darkness and tight spaces down here. Yeah, I got it, don't worry. May not have been able to break this thing loose, but at least got the baby nut started. All right, the moment has come to finally start the car. My uncle's under here with a mirror to make sure it's not squirting oil from underneath the sender. I'm gonna check inside to make sure well, I gotta start it, but also I need to make sure the gauge works. So we gotta turn on the battery, everybody, remember? That was the first step, which also is the last step in completing a project like this. All right, everybody ready? All right, here we go. Oh my goodness, there is oil pressure. I've literally never seen it. That's a ton of oil pressure. I don't even know if that's accurate, but hey, it's not reading 0. So far, it looks like my uncle is not detecting any oil, so that's good. I'm thrilled. It's just reading max, which is the opposite of what it was reading before, but I mean, the needle moved, so that's mission success in my book. There's my hazards, Old Faithful. Man, what a job. I think that this service would have cost easily over $500 at Maserati because it's just involved. In fact, the Maserati book says to remove the intake, which I was looking, it doesn't actually seem like you'd get any better access to anything if you remove the intake. So, you know, whatever, but it doesn't matter. We got it done. It's reading something. It's not spraying oil, so that's a success in my book. I'm gonna get this thing warmed up a little bit and then take it out for a drive and see if we can get it to read even more. Goal here is to warm it up, I mean, just a little bit and see if this gauge reads any differently. Because right now, it's pegged at 70 PSI, which is the exact opposite of what it was doing before. I'm thinking, well, 1, it's either the entirely wrong gauge, or 2, once this thing warms up a little bit, it'll come off that 70 mark. And one thing's for certain, this clutch is still just hanging on for dear life. This poor thing. Slippy. Little friction disc. Oh, it did. It came off as 70. It works. That's exciting. Okay, pull out here. Accelerate. It went back up. Oh man, this is so exciting. Obviously, like I said, it had oil pressure this whole time, but it is such a concern in this kind of car to see 0 oil pressure and a light on, because this motor is worth, well, more than most of my cars. You just don't want to see 0 oil pressure, even if you know it's not true. Look, one way or another, I think we can confirm that this works. Mission accomplished, job well done. Definitely a little closer to the 6-hour end of the job scale than the 30-minute end, but it doesn't matter. At least it's done. That's one more thing checked off the list on this Car Trek Maserati. All right, let me bring it down to an idle so you guys can see it do its thing. Oh, look at that. It went right back to 35. Okay, I mean, folks, we've got oil pressure. My pressure issues are solved. I guess other than the bathroom and notary pressure issues that I spoke of before. Well, mission accomplished, guys. We got the old oil pressure sender out and we got the new one in. Obviously, the job ended up being a little closer on the 6-hour end of the 6-hour to 30-minute scale, but it got done and hopefully I'll never have to do it again. Most of the work was spent trying to get the old one out. Tools had to be modified. Other people had to come in here. It was just insane. And as you could kind of see, every single part of this was done down and behind in the hardest to reach part of the engine bay, but it's done now, and for that I am thankful. The only things left to do on this car are really the headliner and the clutch and the suspension and a bunch of other little odds and ends. Look, it's a work in progress. It's a project car. That's what you guys are here for. This car is coming together slowly but surely, and I'm so excited about it. Of course, the BMW did a great job as a tool bench as well, and I mean, look at it. Everyone needs a BMW tool bench in their garage. So that's gonna do it for today, guys. Be sure to follow me on Instagram if you already haven't. Join me on Facebook in various different ways that are listed in my description. Subscribe if you already haven't. And other than that, I will see you on the next video. It's amazing how much easier this nut's going on. Well, at least it hit the ground. Oh, of course I'm on the wrong side of the car. Still on the wrong side of the car. How the heck? Okay. Well, as you guys saw, apparently my uncle is much stronger than me, just like Hoobie can do more pull-ups than me. Apparently I can't even get this off. I'm just getting proven weak on camera left and right. Always crucial to clean the tools from out of the hood of the Maserati. Definitely need to put them on your BMW workbench, because the worst thing that could happen is to dent the hood of the Maserati trying to close it with all these tools in here. Also, one negative of the BMW workbench is the slope. It doesn't really hold the tools all that well, but no matter, it's good now. Let's get this thing out on the road. Don't hit my tool bench, AKA BMW. I can hear it now in the comments. Oh, you're a tool bench. No, I deserve that.